For us, the walking, the sacredness of the walking, and each step is a prayer, and that's our way of taking care of the land, in addition to real changing, creating new policies and changing the way people think about the land, because that's the problem. People have this idea that the land is just to be bought and sold, but it is just not so. It's just not so. Yeah.
A lot of the times, climate change seems so huge because it's global. And then you say, look, the moment you grow something and keep it growing in your garden, you're cleaning up the climate. And so each plant that you grow is going to remove carbon from it. It's sucking the stuff in and cleaning it and processing it in the most natural way you can on the planet. It's great. And when you teach youth or you teach residents that, they're like really get excited that they feel like they are having an impact. They like light up. It's kind of cool when you see that. It's fun. We build home gardens for families that live in Oak Park in South Sacramento and the Del Paso Heights area. We worked to pass an ordinance so that you can actually put a garden on a vacant lot. Can you imagine if you turn these vacant lots that have nothing on it but trash, turning these places to carbon-sucking, wonderful oases all over the community?
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to get on there.
The Solar Suitcase project is a project where we incorporate renewable energy with community service. In this case, providing a solar suitcase to the people of Uganda and Haiti.
Here's a solar panel. So this takes the sun's light and turns it into electricity. And then it goes into the solar suitcase here. Loads here are mainly lights, and then we also have a cell phone charger, and sometimes you can do a laptop with this kind of a system.
Some students will go on in terms of solar education and possibly even career opportunities.
The key is that it can be 50 degrees outside, but as long as it's sunny, you can cook. Sun is the only ingredient that is necessary. There we go. And a few of those little bubbles at the bottom. This one's a little harder to get water to boiling, but it will allow the water to be pasteurized. So it's safe drinking water. I opened that one up. Woo! Okay, that is up to 300 degrees in there. I literally, in the summer, cook every day outside.
We added a new family room, an upstairs bedroom, bath, and study, and we increased the square footage of the house by 40%, yet we reduced its energy consumption by 50%. So the main parts of the design is that in the winter you want the sun to come in, you want heavy materials, so you want maybe a slab floor with tile that when the sun hits it, it absorbs the heat. It reflects the sunlight off of the roof, so it doesn't get hot and doesn't radiate that heat into the house. And it produces maybe 50 to 60% of our electricity requirements during the year.
I wanted to offer my comments about issues concerning climate change and the impact on our climate by our U.S. military, our military that I've spent 29 years of my life with. Many people don't know that the United States military is the biggest consumer of oil in the world. The military is actually exempt from CO2 emission requirements. So I, as a military person, am appealing to our state and national government level committees that are looking in on climate change to not forget that our U.S. military is one of the biggest polluters that we have in our country.
The city started a Cash for Grass program July 1st in 2008. Turf uses about 50 to 60% of a common residential household, so removing a large amount of turf does save a lot of water. We pay them $1 per square foot of turf removed, up to $1,000 per site.
For customers like this that had high using turf in their landscapes, if it's a dry year, another dry year, and we're looking at significant reductions, this customer has done their part.
We are a creative reuse store and also an eco art center, and what we do is we divert usable materials from regional businesses so that we can use them for purposes of creativity. We divert about 60 to 70 tons of material annually. we see 15,000 students, one classroom at a time, primarily about reduce and reuse instead of just recycle. Packing peanuts, yes. It's packing peanuts. Repair cafes where people can bring in their broken things and get people to fix it, because we have this mentality that we just throw everything away.
Sacramento Natural Gas Company made a presentation to basically to store natural gas under 700 homes.
They kept telling us, oh, it won't impact you. We lived like 3 or 4 blocks away from the impacted area, and we had enough sense to realize that if something happened 3 or 4 blocks away, it's going to impact us. We just decided that, you know, we have enough sense. We can do our own research.
They did not expect a low-income, impoverished area of people with only, you're talking probably 25% of the people that's fighting for the community to be able to win.
I would wear a sign around my neck wherever I went, and I would engage people, and I would ask them how would they like this underneath their homes. And it made them stop and think, and they would say, I don't want it, that we would invite them to come join us as we had different protests. And so people can understand that we're just as human as the next community. Our homes may not be worth $300,000, but our homes are important to us. It can happen in our neighborhood this year. It could be in your neighborhood next year. And the whole thing was, we didn't want this to happen in any neighborhood.
Our local struggle was not simply a local struggle. Our struggle is really a national struggle, because we connected our struggle to the whole fracking issue that was taking place. We were taking the Keystone Pipeline issue was just coming onto the scene, and we were beginning to educate people about all these other issues. Now, we were told not to do this.
By whom?
Well, it's just
because they said they didn't want to confuse people. Right? But we saw the connection.
The students of California oppose fracking because we are on the precipice of a climate disaster. We have been raised with the understanding that our planet is in trouble, and we have to do something about it.
We will not sit idly by as this unethical industry smashes bedrock with toxic chemicals to release fossil fuels, which will simply exacerbate climate change.
We will remember how you sold out our generation and future generations to an industry with no regard for the climate or human health. Don't frack our future!
Don't frack our future!
We don't want their gas and oil working half harder than soil, because we're radical environmentalists.
As a physician, as a mother, as a member of the community, I think engaging in this work of environmental stewardship is so important.
We have an initiative to reduce all waste generated within our cafeteria by 75%, either through composting or recycling.
Walk Sacramento hosted a walk and bike audit designed to collect community input on improvements in infrastructure. The group hoped to isolate factors of the inaccessibility of the region in order for potential improvement.
As we're currently walking, I notice on some of the cross streets like 14th, 15th, 16th, there was no crosswalks involved, so it makes it very dangerous for especially a child.
Popular issues included a lack of community areas, the lack of bike lanes, lack of crosswalks.
Hi there, we're with Sacramento Area Bicycle Advocates doing some valet bike parking here at the Farmers Market. And valet bike parking really just helps people change their mindset about riding and the fact that they don't have to drive everywhere, and it's just as convenient sometimes to ride your bike.
Right, and hopefully when more people walking around and driving see that people are parking their bikes here safely, they might be encouraged to do the same next week.
Critical mass is about getting families on bicycles. The more people can see that this is a normal thing to do, the more other people will join us. Bring people's focus back to having bicycles be a valid form of transportation is really important for climate change. Kids have lost the freedom of riding that mile to school because parents don't feel that it's safe, so they drive their children because it's not safe because there's too much traffic on the street, and they contribute to that traffic, and it's a self-perpetuating cycle that we need to break.
We ride our bikes to take Seneca to school. Do you like riding your bike to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more fun than taking the car, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and it's just a short 8-mile ride or 5-7-mile ride depending on which route we take. And we also do a lot of riding around town, huh?
And we find squirrels on the way.
We find squirrels. So it's a lot of fun. We really enjoy riding our cargo bike.
Local currency that encourages people to spend locally in Davis.
Davis dollars have a 1-to-1 ratio. 1 Davis dollar can be purchased for 1 United States dollar.
Spend $1 at a big box store, then only about 6 to 10 cents of that stays local. And if you spend that same dollar at a local mom and pop shop, about 60 cents stays local, so a lot more. And I like to point out to people that if you spend 1 Davis dollar locally, then 100 cents of that stays local.
If you are to localize your food production, you're going to reduce, the energy and the waste and pollution associated with the production. Well over 90% of the food that we eat as a region is actually imported, even though we have a capacity to grow most of our own food here. The biggest loss of carbon in the soil is when you turn it over, right? When you expose it. Oxidation and release of all of that carbon into the atmosphere. So if you can reduce tillage, in conventional agriculture they do typically do a lot of tilling of various nature, but they also leave the soil exposed. Soil is left bare and generally expose more soil to the carbon loss. It would be an example of something that once we prepared it and planted the grasses, that's it. We're not turning the soil over any longer, and then we move the animals through here with quite a bit of frequency, so they're never in one place too long. Capturing all of those nutrients and minerals and sink. It's a carbon sink.
Basically, what we do is the sheep and the cows are mowers. They go in and they get all that grass out of our way, so we can still get people and ladders and things in there to do the work that we need to do. Chickens handle all the bugs, and they turn those into nitrogen-rich manure. And the goats handle all our invasive weeds, and they do light pruning on our olives. And in the wintertime, we'll work them out of the orchards. They'll clear fire breaks for us and restore riparian areas. Best of all, we use about 85% less fuel than we used to. We've been doing this for 10 years, and our fuel savings is about 85% by putting the animals into the orchards. We sequester huge amounts of atmospheric carbon by grazing this way.
Now that we use no electricity and we don't have a car,
I love it. It's a choice. It's a great choice. It's very freeing, and I have no electricity bill. So we get creative in how to solve our lighting problems, and part of that is going to bed early. Part of that is making beeswax candles, which are beautiful. In the winter we sleep a lot, and our kids sleep a lot, and it's great. It's so great. And then when the seasons change, when it starts to warm up, I'm ready to go outside and do more things. Like I want to chop wood, I want to build stuff. It feels wonderful. I highly recommend it. So if we don't own a car, we're not going to use a car. So we use bikes, and we use the bus, and we walk, and my kids bike. So we don't run around as much. And it's, if it's raining or it's cold, we'll stay inside. So everything slows down, and it's really nice.
And we realize that a group of people who can work collectively together can solve the problem, and
I know that human beings, we only have a certain amount of time left on this planet, but while we're here, we have to take good care. It's our responsibility. And for me, as a grandparent, I really feel like we have to do our best to take care of the land.
That's right. You just fold up the panel, collapse it, and away we go.